Bugün David Weinstock'la birlikteyiz.
You know David from the international nonviolence community, and we have a new published book of David's, and Esin mentioned a little bit of the story of the book and talked about your training, your online training here in Turkey, and how she was deeply touched with your training, and she wanted to bring your book also to the Turkish community.
Wonderful.
So, David, in your understanding, what is nonviolent communication and how did your journey begin?
My journey began with nonviolent communication. I was introduced to it about 25 years ago. I helped to co-found an intentional community with 8 other families in 1990, and it was a lot of relationships to work with, and it became quite difficult. So someone brought in an NVC trainer, and the community embraced the principles of nonviolent communication and began to practice it. And over the years, myself and my wife actually took it farther and became certified and now teach. At that point, although we practiced it poorly, I could feel the importance of it. As far as what is nonviolent communication, you'll probably get a slightly different answer from everyone you ask, but I'll tell you what it is for me. I approach nonviolent communication as a practice of life, meaning that in it, I can find, or I look for practices for who I want to be in the world. Personal practices for deepening relationships. It's a lifelong discipline and an art. I see the basics, as it is often taught, as training wheels. And that the training wheels, once learned, you can let go of them and become it. And encoded in the work, all the practices for me are centering practices to bring us into our body and our heart. And I remember when I wanted to learn this and going, how do you learn this? And so in my journey to understand how to make that journey from here down to here was just full of bushes and thorns and things that had grown in the way. I realized that I had some tools already that I could use. And that was the practice of Aikido, which is a whole mind and body practice of harmonizing conflict. So one day, as I was in a workshop learning nonviolent communication, I was asked to empathize with 2 women. And the 2 women were arguing, and I'm over here supposed to be offering empathy, listening without words. And I'm thinking, what is this empathy stuff? How do you do this? So I listened, and I imagined that I was like almost like a big bubble, and they were in it with me. And all of a sudden, I started to hear below their words to something that they shared in common, like their common ground. And not only that, I felt like I was quietly a part of the conversation. All of a sudden, I went like, oh my gosh, this is Aikido. And this empathic field is actually what's called a ki field in Aikido. I had already been practicing that for 20 years before. So that was another moment of ignition where I said, oh, this is this is a piece that really goes with nonviolent communication that brings whole body listening into a whole mind and body practice. And it began a really powerful place for my own practice, but something I've felt very committed to sharing with the NBC Circle of Learners. So you asked me about somatics and how that connects to NBC. Would you like me to just continue there?
Yes, please.
Like, what would be the simplest way to explain somatics?
Simply, it's the part of us that rides the bicycle without thinking about it. It's the mind in the body. You can feel when people are talking from their heads and they're thinking about something, and even using nonviolent communication from what they've memorized in the words, right? And it's different than when someone comes to their heart and they speak from this place. That's the work.
Çalışma bu.
And the thing about somatics is this, it teaches really how we learn through repetition and recurrence. The basics that, this idea that we're always practicing something. You're practicing how you are sitting. You're practicing how you are listening or not listening. You might be practicing how you're judging me or even multitasking. You're practicing how you're breathing. You are what you have practiced in your life. And through deliberate, committed, intentional practice over time, you can practice who you choose to become. So one of the most important pieces about somatic and NBC, I think, that I love, that feels important to me, is that our bodies contain the our the total of our own histories. In nonviolent communication, everything we do is in every strategy is in service of life or what we call need. We learn a lot of strategies when we're younger, and it's very, very difficult to access the adult world. So we come up with very unusual strategies. And we practice what I call these core strategies until they become a part of who we are and unconscious. So we're always communicating from our whole selves. So if our words say one thing, but our histories are moving and contracting us in other ways, then what people often hear is a mixed message. And people feel before they think. So, this strategy of hiding my heart, this shy little boy that I used to be, it still comes up when I get triggered. So in the work that I love to share, we begin with really articulating well what it is that matters to us, what we care about, that felt sense of what matters. Because to build lifelong practices that change deeply ingrained habits, that you have to know that or you'll get lost. So the journey is identifying what you care about, notice the strategies you have practiced in your life, really discern if those strategies serve what you love and who you want to be now. And then through conscious, intentional practice over time, you build new habits and new ways of being.
So you are describing a lifelong journey as an individual. So it's a personal journey. But also, while we were talking with Esin before the recording, she reminded me something really valuable. As far as I know, you are someone who is dedicated to form communities, to build communities. And for now, in Turkey, we are going through some, I will say, macro, like a major polarization in the country. And even though I won't ask you for a solution to our country problems, I would just like to ask a smaller version of it. How can we be together with our differences in communities? This is the question, and I would like to hear what the question inspires in you.
Well, let's see. How much time do we have?
Ne kadar vaktimiz var?
Okay. Let's see. The short of it, though, is this. All the paths that I take in my life, they seem to have a common theme. It's a deep care and a curiosity of how we as humans are different and how we're the same. In NVC, we would say that the needs are the place we're the same. That life, energy, whatever you want to call it, that's our common ground. And we, as in my world travels, I still see that in most everyone I meet. And then how we are different are the strategies, and also curious about that. So I'm always interested in that, first of all. There is a power when we come from that place of that common ground and speak to that place of common ground. We can meet there. And if we can do that, then I think that is the most effective form of activism. And I am a great advocate for community. You might say it's my politic. I am an activist from a long time ago, and I still am. This is my form. This is my form of activism right here. And the thing about living in community is it helps us to find a confidence in our own voice in the midst of relationship. Being in community offers lots of places to practice. And when we practice together, the learning of empathy and the learning basics of community is accelerated. That common ground between other people also begins within ourselves, where our head says one thing and our heart says another thing, and our gut comes into the conversation, and it gets confusing. That inner process of listening and connecting, unifying those inner voices, is the same practice for working with others. So the thing about activism is finding your voice.
Kendi sesinizi bulmak.
And when you have an inner unification, when your head is connected to your heart, it's connected to your intuition and to your feet on the ground and even your highest knowing, when you can feel the support at your back and all those who walk beside you and the beauty of the young ones in front of us, then you can speak from that deep place of care and resourcefulness that is deeply moving. And when you can come from that place of what you deeply care about and you put that out into the world, you're in your power. And this creates a resonance in you and with others that is deeply moving. And I think that is how I approach stepping into the world and wanting to make positive change. Did I answer your question a little bit?
Soruna yardımcı oldu mu?
Yeah, it's the beginning. I think we need I want to listen more.
Maybe countries have somatics, and Jana says, I just have a little, like a vision, a dream. If only we could have that bubble, that empathy field for the whole country. Like, let's all be in it together and hear each other. Yes, I have lots more questions, but I would like to care about the time, take care of the time. And maybe I was thinking we could finish on a note about gratitude, because I know that in the book also, David also works a lot on gratitude. So would you have maybe a little practice about gratitude to finish us off?
Yeah, let me thank her for a good moment.
Ben bir şey önermek istiyorum.
I have a suggestion.
I'm listening.
I was really moved when I heard you say that mourning is also a practice of gratitude. I would really like to hear from you. How do you
Mhm.
practice mourning as gratitude?
Take a moment and think about someone you love that you miss. And remember something you love about that person, something you appreciate, a quality maybe. Denise, can I ask you a question?
Deniz, bir soru sorabilir miyim?
Yes.
So when you remember this person,
Hı hı.
just one sentence, what is it something that you love about this person? Would you be okay with sharing that?
Warmness. Warmness.
Yeah. When you say that, how do you feel inside? What does that feel like?
Kelime olarak
Hı
içsel
hı.
yumuşaklık ve ılıklık hissediyorum.
I feel softness and like a lukewarm sensation.
So is there does it feel like tenderness?
Yeah.
Got some sweetness, maybe even a little sadness in there, but together.
Yes. Yeah. Together.
Hmm.
Evet.
Yeah, that's mourning and celebration right there. When you love something or someone and you connect to them, it's sweet.
Mhm.
When you connect to something that you miss, that's not there, that you love, that's mourning. When you love what's present, that's gratitude. When you love what you miss, that's gratitude. When you feel what you love in mourning and celebration, you are honoring life.
Thank you very much.
You, an honor to be here. And it's really sweet to be with you all too.
Çok teşekkür ederim.
Olmak bir onur. Çok teşekkürler. Thank you very much.